In today's video, we've got a very special one, guys. Yeah, we got it. It's the Sapphire Pulse RX 9060 XT 16GB version, this one. Here we go, guys. Come on. We got it. We got it, guys. We actually got it. I'm kind of buzzing about this because, this is quite a big moment for us on this channel because we haven't really done any kind of, well, I wouldn't say high-end graphics cards, but we certainly haven't done anything sort of mid-range or better. It's always been very, very budget, and this is kind of, okay, it's not like cutting edge in terms of the absolute like top end, but this is a pretty, for us anyway on this channel, this cost me a fair chunk of change. So basically I brought this off Amazon UK for £320. Say it quickly. Yeah, so but yeah, £320. It was actually, too fair, that's actually not bad for this graphics card. I think that's actually quite a good price. The other RX 9060 16GB, well, 9060 XT 16GB versions were around about 350, 360, but obviously they had the free fan version, so obviously they were the kind of more premium cards. And I kind of felt at that point you may as well go right up to the RTX 5060 Ti 16GB, because that's only about £400. So I kind of felt like that was too much money, but at £320 I think this one was fair, although it is only the 2-fan version. It's only got 2 fans on this one rather than the 3. So the format of this video is basically we're going to do a quick unboxing, and then we'll jump into those gaming benchmarks for you guys, so you can see what this graphics card can do. Now, admittedly, my system isn't the best. I'll be honest. It's a Ryzen 5 5600 with 16GB of DDR4 RAM, clocked at 3600 mega transfers. So a decent kind of sort of like budget to mid-range system there. So, we'll get all right results. It's not going to be like totally CPU bottlenecks, but there is going to be some CPU bottleneck there, just so you guys know. But anyway, I think really we'll just crack on with the unboxing. Now, I'm not going to do a overhead video over, the camera where I have the camera overhead. I think it's probably easier just to do it here. It's just a bit too much faff in the overhead. So, yeah, here we go. Let me show you the back of it there. Now, this graphics card does need at least a 450 watt power supply, but I would highly recommend that you use at least a 550 watt or even a 600 watt power supply, really. This is a fairly powerful graphics card, but it isn't like, again, it isn't like top end like I was saying, but this is sort of like, I would say between that kind of, it's kind of around, I'd say it's about mid-range, probably a little bit more than the budget side of mid-range, but it's about a mid-range graphics card now, I'd say. Budget to mid-range anyway, lower end to mid-range. But, that's kind of where we are with graphics cards now. To me, I still find it's crazy that we're paying almost sort of 300 odd quid just for what is mid-range graphics cards. I mean, they should only be about 150, 200 pounds, but it is where the market is, and it's where things have gone, so that's what it is. But anyway, I think we just jump into that unboxing. So we only get like a brown box, which isn't the best packaging, admittedly, but it's perfectly safe, and the actual card, I'm sure, has got to us in a good, safe condition. So as long as it's functional, that's all we care about. And here it is. So you've got your quick installation guide. Now, it is quite a small graphics card, as you can see, guys, but it's going to be fun. So we'll put that package into the one side. Now, it's got like how to install your graphics card and what have you there, and handling the PCI Express thing and what have you. But again, we'll be fine with that. And there it is, our little card, and it's actually got loads of wrapping over it, plastic, which I haven't seen before because I think this is probably the first sort of new graphics card I think I've ever brought, if I'm being honest. I think the only other one that I kind of did buy was all the way back in the day, which was probably about 20 odd years ago or something stupid now. I think it was like the GTX 8800 or something, or 8800 GTX or whatever it was called. Anyway, yeah, that was probably like that was like when the Half-Life 2 kind of came out. So yeah, that was ages ago. But yeah, that was a kind of probably the only last graphics card that I actually brought from new. So it's kind of a bit crazy. But yeah, let's just get this plastic stuff off first of all. Yeah, that looks to be all clear of the plastic stuff. So yeah, guys, what do you think? First impressions. This is, like I say, the Sapphire Pulse version of the RX 9060 XT. To me, it actually looks quite nice. I think it's got a nice backplate. One of those sort of pass-through things with a little window, so you've got so the fans at the front can kind of bring that air through at the back as well. So that would be nice. You will need fairly decent case airflow as well, because it's not like the most like biggest cooler, is it? So obviously you are going to need a little bit of help from your case fans and what have you. So just be aware of that, guys. But overall, I do think this really does look quite a nice graphics card, personally. I don't know what you guys think. So the ports that you get are two HDMI's with the one display port there. So pretty standard. A little bit disappointing. There's only three outputs for your displays, but again, I don't think anyone's going to run more than three monitors at a time, so I don't see a problem there. And we do have that single 8-pin there as well, so you know that's okay. I mean, obviously that kind of means that it's not going to be like too powerful for your power supply. So, like I say, I think with a 550 watt power supply you'd be fine. Now, technically it says 450 watt power supply, but I would probably just play it safe and go for at least a 550 or even a 600 watt power supply, just to be safe. But yeah, there we go. I mean, you know, nice little fan design there. I mean, with the two fans, it's kind of compact, and this is a pretty small card. I think it's only about 25 centimeters or so. How much does it say? I don't know. Anyway, it is quite a compact card, but I'll put obviously the all the measurements down below for the actual size of the card as well. But yeah, overall, what do you guys think? I mean, hopefully you can be able to see that on the camera okay. It doesn't come with one of those PCI slot covers, so just be aware of that with this version. Although you do get the covers for the displays there, so that's something. But overall, I think kind of a nice sleek black design with the red. And obviously to get a metal backplate as well is quite nice. I'm pretty sure that's metal anyway. Yeah, well, it could be plastic, but anyway, it is quite nice to see. I think it actually might be more. Yeah, I think it's more plastic now. Come to think about it. But yeah, I think nice design. But yeah, overall, I think really we just jump into those gaming benchmarks now, guys. So just before we jump into those benchmarks, I want you to see what the graphics card looked like installed in our case. So as you can see, fairly sort of standard size, I'd say. It's not a particularly big graphics card, this, but quite standard, I'd say, in terms of the size certainly for a 2-fan graphics card. So yeah, it looks quite nice, I think, personally. The red and black, I think, work quite well, so I think that's all good there. So I'll leave the computer to the side here, and then we'll just go through the gaming benchmarks, and I'll put the in-game footage over the top of me, or I'll put me I'll probably put me onto the top right hand side, and then I'll put the game footage over the top. Now, as I said before, there is quite a big bottleneck, unfortunately, with the Ryzen 5 5600. Really, we're not getting the full amount out of our graphics card here, so it's a little bit disappointing, but we will be looking to upgrade this in maybe a few months' time or something. We'll see when we can afford it. We'll see when we can afford a AM5 system. It's not quite yet. We're not quite there yet, guys. But we'll get there. We'll get up to AM5 soon, so don't worry about that. So yeah, for the initial benchmarks, I've only done 1080p high, 1080p high settings, just to kind of give you an idea. Unfortunately, I don't have a 1440p monitor, so I can't do 1440p. benchmarks, but we will do these benchmarks for now, and then there will be quite a few follow-up videos on this graphics card. Seeing as I have spent a fair amount of money on this, I'm going to need to make quite a few videos from it. But yeah, so 1080p high Fortnite, an average of 138, a minimum of 116, and a maximum of 146. Now I'm not used to saying these big numbers at all, because usually with the sort of PCs that I have are very sort of in the in the 2 digits numbers rather than 3 digit numbers. So yeah, getting into that sort of hundreds and above is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, if you had a 144 hertz monitor, you might need to just turn down 1 or 2 settings on 1080p high Fortnite just to give yourself that 144 hertz refresh rate consistency, shall we say. But overall, for Fortnite, that's actually quite consistent results, so I think we've done all right there. Marvel Rivals was average of 126, a minimum of 49, and a maximum of 179. So a lot of dips and drops here, unfortunately, and a minimum of 49 is pretty low, so a bit disappointing there. But I think again, with a bit of tweaking at 1080p high, I mean, obviously, again, as I said, if you had a better CPU, you wouldn't get these dips. I think that's what's causing the dips. So if you had a better CPU, you'd constantly get at least a 60 FPS minimum with this game, with this graphics card, quite easily more even. It's only because our CPU is slightly bottlenecking our system that we're getting these lower drops. Really, this card, you can throw basically any game at 1080p high at it, certainly nowadays, and you're not going to have a problem. So 1080p card, certainly. 1440p can be done, but a little bit of a stretch. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, pretty old game by now, but an average of 194, a minimum of 159, and a maximum of 316, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, this graphics card, yeah, I mean, that's an old game anyway, so we kind of know that, but this graphics card is absolutely destroying it. We actually are going to have in a future video the the RTX 3050 6 GB, and we're going to kind of compare it to this graphics card to see how much more performance you get and see whether that upgrade's kind of worth it for you guys. So that's going to be probably next week, I think. So subscribe for that. GTA 5, an average of 130, a minimum of 100, and a maximum of 169. So again, pretty consistent results here. Our MSI Afterburner wasn't working particularly well here in terms of it didn't display the graphics memory for some reason, the one right at the far end. But anyway, it's perfectly fine, and yeah, and perfectly good results there. I mean, obviously GTA 5 is a very old game now, so you'd expect that, but again, this card's handling it fine, even with this slightly CPU bottleneck. And Cyberpunk 2077 is kind of a big one, an average of 116, a minimum of 82, and a maximum of 159. So again, this card is kind of, perfectly fine for Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p high. You could even go right up to like ultra settings if you wanted to, and you'll get easier 60 FPS average easy, or well over that. Like I say, this graphics card for 1080p high is going to be fine for, I reckon, about 2 to 3 years for 1080p high gaming, possibly even a little bit longer if you're willing to add in a little bit of FSR4 and that. And again, FSR4 is something that we will be looking at in the probably in 2 weeks' time. We'll probably look at FSR4 a bit more, and we'll look at those compatible games with FSR4 and see what this graphics card can do with FSR4. Because I still think the 9060 XT, it's kind of the ace in the pack in terms of it's kind of ace card, if you will, is certainly FSR4 support, and I think that's really going to help it out as we go into the future and as we start to get into those more and more like intense games with newer releases. And you're going to need FSR4 a little bit more, obviously, as this card does start to age as well. And I do think right now, for even if it is £320 where you are, or around about that amount, I do think this card is well worth the price personally, and I'm pretty happy with the performance that we're getting here. Even though, as I said, we are a little bit CPU bottlenecked, but hey ho, you can't have everything in life, can you guys? And as we know, it's the graphic card destroyer game of Starfield, an average of 82, a minimum of 74, and a maximum of 93. So even this graphics card with Starfield was struggling a little bit, but we've comfortably got an average of over 60 FPS even at 1080p high. So that's not bad at all. And if you played around with the settings and what have you with the FSR. I don't know if it's FSR supported actually, that game. I don't think it is, but if you played around with the settings, I'm sure you could get at least up to the 100 FPS even with this system for an average. So not a problem there. Even with Starfield, we're doing all right with this card. And our final game, Black Myth Wukong, but this is only the benchmark tool, not the actual full game. An average of 90, a minimum of 18. So we do see our major drop there which is quite odd, but anyway, and our maximum was 103. So yeah, I think that's a bit of an anomaly with the minimum of 18 there. We're not really seeing that big drops in many of the games, and I think that maybe just our system stuttered just for a second or so. I don't really think that 18 is representative of what you'll get in game. I think you'll get a comfortable 60 FPS experience here all the time. Even the minimums won't be that low of 18. So I think that's just a one-off stutter. I think we can leave that alone. Yeah, I mean, 90 FPS average even at 1080p high with Black Myth Wukong is respectable. Again, as I said, these benchmarks can't be totally you can't put them down totally in terms of the exact benchmarks, because obviously this card is bottlenecked by the CPU and obviously the DDR4 RAM. We really need to go up to DDR5 RAM as well to get those better speeds, and obviously go up to AM5, and hopefully I am looking like a Ryzen 7700. So that's probably where I'm going to go with this system. That's probably the next upgrade that we'll probably go to, but obviously that is a little bit of a way off at the moment. But I certainly will switch to AM5, because I think AM4, as good as it's been, and it is a legendary socket, I do think AM4 is starting to show its age now. And if you're wanting to play the absolute latest and greatest in games and what have you, AM4 can still do it, but it's starting to get a little bit long in the tooth now. And AM5 is certainly going to be where a lot of people are looking at. If you're certainly building a new build from scratch, you really should go AM5 now. But I understand money-wise, people might want to go with an AM4 system just to save a little bit of money, and then obviously do what I've done, and is obviously put all your money into the graphics card to get as much performance as you can, and maybe sacrifice a little bit on the actual system overall. So let me know what you think of this little graphics card. Do you like the Sapphire version? I kind of like the styling. I think it's quite nice, and there's no RGB or anything like that on it, but it's a nice card. I'm really impressed with the RX 9060 XT, even though, like I said, we have got a major CPU bottleneck, but those results are really, really good. And like we'll see next week with when we're comparing it to the RTX 3050 6GB, you're going to see a massive increase over this card from an older card. For most people who are kind of budget gamers, they're probably going to have like a GTX, like maybe 1070 or 1080 or 1080 Ti, or maybe even like an RTX 2060 or something, or maybe even up to 2070, or maybe even if you're really kind of pushing it a little bit, maybe an RTX 3060. But it is going to have quite a big performance uplift from those sort of cards. This card, and I do think this is the card to have for 1080p gaming going in the future, because even in 3 to 4 years time, you'll see that 16 gigabytes of VRAM really come in handy, as well as obviously the power of the card is really going to come in handy, and obviously the FSR4 support as well is really going to help out in those games that really start to push this card, because the FSR4 is going to make a game from unplayable up to playable. So I really do think from a long-term sort of standpoint, this is a really good investment of a graphics card, and this is certainly going to be my graphics card for the next 3 to 4 years. I don't think I'm going to upgrade from here. So yeah, let me know what you think of this card. And let me know what you think of the videos, and please like if you did like this video, and please dislike if you didn't. Please leave a comment on what you think of this little graphics card, and is this going to be your graphics card that you're going to upgrade to, or have you actually already upgraded to this graphics card, or maybe even further up to maybe like an RX 9070 XT? And let me know below. Just comment and subscribe, obviously, to see my future videos. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.